Hope you guys doing well. I just want to put up the bell ringer for you. Hopefully, you completed your activity, the compare and contrast of a constitutional and absolute monarchy, and obviously the presidential and parliamentary democracy. So, compare and contrast a presidential and parliamentary democracy. I'll let you guys work on that right now. Please pause the video so you can write down your description, your response, and I'm going to go over it in a few seconds. So real quick, presidential democracy. So we talked about this yesterday. Presidential democracy is, in the case of the United States, we have three branches of government. We have the legislative branch, which is a bicameral legislature, meaning we have a Senate, House of Representatives. These people are elected by the people. Okay, we know there's 100 members in the Senate, 2 from each state, and we have population-based in the House of Representatives, 435 members, depending on population in that state. Okay. And these people are elected by the people, right? They are elected representatives. And we have the executive branch, which the people do elect as a president, okay, through electoral college system, depending on population, right? Depending on, it will mean the number of votes, electoral votes to the president. And that is the executive, right? So legislative, they make the laws. Executive, they enforce the laws. They are the president. Okay, foreign diplomacy, you name it. And on the far right, we have the judicial branch, right? And they are the Supreme Court. They interpret the law. So, with that being said, the president appoints the Supreme Court, which Congress then votes on these Supreme Court members. And presidential democracy, again, people vote on really the representatives in Congress and the president, the judicial branch appointed by the president and approved by the legislative branch. So that means people have a say in government. People have an opportunity to voice their opinion and choose elected officials that they think will do the right thing for them. Okay. So that being said, we'll go to a parliamentary democracy, which is a democracy, let's say in Australia. Okay. And these are elected officials in parliament. Mostly you'll see a bicameral legislature. So you'll have like a House of Commons, House of Lords, right? Very similar to what we know as the Senate and House Republicans. And then with a parliamentary democracy, these elected officials choose, let's say, a prime minister or a president, okay, to lead them. So they are elected by the people, and these representatives choose a president, choose a prime minister, okay, to run their country. So it's not like the United States where the president's elected by the people. Their leader, their president, their prime minister are voted on, picked by, okay, the parliament. All right, so those are the main differences, comparisons amongst a presidential and parliamentary democracy. All right, so real quick, vocab terms for today. We got a theocracy and a dictatorship. So I'll let you guys pause that. Okay, you can write down that definition. I'm going to go over here soon. So a theocracy is a government by God or priests. So religion really runs that government. They make all the decisions. Their guidelines, their rules were already set out, let's say, by their Bible, right? Their worship, their book of worship. So theocracy is mostly run by the religion. Okay, the government is shaped by religion. In the United States, we have a separation of power, separation of church and state. Like politics and religion, they're separate. Okay, theocracies, mostly found in the Middle East. Okay, they are ran primarily by that said religion. So in the Middle East, like I mentioned, they're considered theocracies because their ultimate political authority, and each in the hands of religious leaders and fundamentalist regime, whose purpose is to organize society under religious law. So the Sharia law is mostly focused in these areas, this Islamic code, this Islamic fundamental traditions, values, and religion really runs the government. They go strictly by the Quran, okay, which is like their Bible. And religion takes a primary role in their society. And again, you hear it in current events today, the news. Many people critique this, obviously, because opportunity for women, right? There's still shaped, and their leadership and their governments, their principles, their rules are shaped really thousands of years ago. And you don't really see modernist movements, progressive movements in these areas where, like, the opportunity for, let's say, minority groups, for women, okay, advancements for social justice. It just does not occur in these areas. They are strictly by their religion, by the Quran, okay, Sharia law. So these are some theocracies that you'll see, okay, Iran, Afghanistan, okay, these Middle Eastern countries focused on religion to running their government. All right, a dictatorship. Most of you guys already know what a dictatorship is. So, a form of government in which absolute power is concentrated in the dictator. So, a dictator is a ruler who is unconstrained by law and usually rules with terror. So, strong military presence, showing fear into the lives of people, taking away people's freedoms for control to make sure that no one can challenge his authority. And if they do, they are most likely killed or placed in prison for the rest of their life. Okay. So with a dictator, it's like an absolute monarchy, but for the most part, they control everything. And I know I talked about a feudal pyramid before with the monarchy and absolute monarchy. For a dictator, you might see, let's say, an oligarchy kind of forming underneath that dictatorship, where these individuals that are appointed by the dictator will run, let's say, the military, we'll say education. And in that case, there's a lot of indoctrination to make sure that people conform to one method. There are no political parties, right? That you see in democracies, a constitutional monarchy, there is none, right? The people don't have a say in government. They don't have a voice or opinion. Advantages to it, well, you don't have the political parties duking it out, competing against each other. And laws, okay, different types of decisions are made like that because the dictator chooses it all. People don't have a say whatsoever. Okay, presidential democracy might take a little bit of time, but the people have a choice of what decision can be made and will be made in that government. All right, so world's current day dictators. So here's a list right now for you. You can look at, and I want to make sure that you have enough time to work on the dictator assignment, which is you're going to research a famous dictator currently or in the past and talk about his, maybe her regime, mostly his, right? And discuss a little bit about how they ran their countries and maybe what brought it, right? How did this country accept this dictatorship as their role of government? Okay, so that's a simulation we'll go over hopefully when you guys are here tomorrow. Maybe that'd be great. We'll see you guys later. Check out the assignment, famous dictators. Okay, it's a project. You're just going to form a presentation. You'll see the assignment. Okay, and we won't have that due by the end of the week, but next week we'll present your projects.